everybody. You are now listening to the Overflow Podcast with Jay and Joaquin.
It start like this. Happy birthday to you. You belong in a zoo. You look like a monkey and you smell like one too. Ba-da-ba. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of the Overflow Podcast. We have been missing, but we're back. Life is kind of things are happening as we continue to try to navigate this from far away, from 8-hour drive away. So is it the way I drive? It's 8 hours.
The way you drive is 10 hours.
Because I take my time. So this week we're back. We got some things to talk about. We got some things we're gonna mention. But as always, I'm Joaquin and
I'm Jay.
And still Jay. So we're starting off with the biggest news of the week. Unbelievable. We were shocked and amazed that Jay had a birthday on the 11th. Jay had a birthday.
I was actually born, not, I didn't just appear.
Yeah. Happy birthday to you.
Ew, stop. Ew.
It sounds like somebody. That sounded like somebody's about to just straight up murder you.
It sounded like, yeah.
Like what? That's like a serial killer.
Like I was being sung the happy birthday song by Pennywise.
Yeah, serial killer from like Silence of the Lambs coming at you. Put the lotion in the basket. Happy birthday. So, what up, Jay? Man, Jay hits a milestone. Hit a milestone.
That's what I was told, that it's a milestone, but
it is a milestone, man. Listen, you made it to a spot where a lot of people don't make it.
Yo, I made it to a spot where I grew up being told I wasn't gonna make it. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of wild. That was me all last week. Very contemplative and reflective at the beach.
Sit at the beach.
I sent you and Joel a video, right?
Right.
Very, yeah. I mean, it's I know people call it a milestone because it's half a century, whatever. Right? So cat's out the bag. Like if it was
Jay turned 50. He turned 50.
I turned 50, right? So it's a milestone, half a century, made it to 50. But for me, it's a marker. It's an altar, right? It's an altar.
Yeah, Jay gonna sacrifice himself on his own altar.
It's an altar because, I mean, you saw where I grew up, right? And you heard how I grew up, and everything about where and how I grew up told me that I wasn't even gonna make it to 21, much less be able to say that I'm 50, happily married, super blessed with home, friendships, relationships, love. Right. Got a grandkid. Like it's wild. Then I sit back and
I mean, let's be real though. You're Puerto Rican, so that means you had that grandkid when you were 14 already. he's turning 40. He's turning 49 this year.
Like it's wild to me, like
Yeah.
That, and then not wild, like look what I did with my own hands, none of that nonsense like that. That the Lord protected me as much as people and circumstances, and 80% poor decisions and judgment on my part. They tried to take me out, and God has kept me. God has kept me where I can see 50, right? Where I can see like I can, and so the amazing woman that is my wife, she did a birthday party for me on Saturday, and it was interesting, right? Because it was filled with new faces, right? New faces. And instead, as you can see, 50 I've become wiser, right? Because instead of like don't do that, baby. Like just wait till we get to Georgia next week because I want to be with people that know me, with my friends, right? I stood there with her, amazed that all these people that I just met,
right,
basically, right, because we've only been here 8 months, that I just met would show up to celebrate me, right, and to honor me.
right.
And some of them brought gifts. Right?
Nice.
But
It's always nice to get gifts.
the biggest thing is David, my high school best friend, right? Like we've known each other for 35 years. Not a lot of people could say that.
Right.
And we went outside to walk and talk and just reflect together because he turns 50 now too. He's a Christmas baby.
Oof.
But we're talking about 35 years. 35 years, bro. Like me and you, 35 years. And the knucklehead stuff that I did growing up, right? 80 to 90% of the times he was with me. Right? First time I went to jail, he and I went to jail together. We got arrested together.
Nice.
Right? Sent to jail together, right? So it's one of those things where we're both like, yo. And our oldest daughters are the same age. Right? So
Okay. Yeah.
We're both grandparents. Like it's one of those things where we were both like reflecting and could only come up with the fact that, like God kept us, bro. Like God kept us. His hand has been all over our lives.
Your guardian angels were working overtime.
Our guardian angels retired after they were sure that we were good. Like they retired. I think I bumped into mine at the beach last week. Right? Yeah. Like he saw me, he went.
And well, homie, that's dope. So while you were celebrating your birthday, I forgot that I am a light-skinned Puerto Rican.
You forgot that you were you forgot that you were White Rican.
That I was a White Rican, and so I was tasked. So I've been off this week because I was gonna pressure wash the patio, the driveway, paint the patio, kind of stuff. And it was raining Monday, so Tuesday I'm like, yo, let's get this done. Oh man, it's nice. Let me take off my shirt, get some vitamin D, get some of that good sunshine. Yeah, but I forgot that I'm a White Rican. And I got plenty of sun. And I got plenty of sunburnt. On my back. I look like you could just show up with some melted butter and those visors you used to crack crabs with. just take the meat out, because I'm still in a little bit of pain. So you celebrate your 50. I took all the pain of you turning 50. That's
you turned into Mr. Krabs.
Yeah, man, I turned into Mr. Krabs, or what's his name from Futurama, the lobster from Futurama.
I don't know.
Dr. Neuberg, I think was his name. Something like that. So yeah, man. So it's just been wild. Just is what it is, man. We celebrate you though, 50 years.
We'll celebrate next week when I'm in Georgia.
Yeah. We'll do what we got to do.
Tell Jenny I want some of that Peruvian Chinese rice again.
Oh, you want some of that chaufa?
Whatever it is, I want some of that.
Yeah, it was good, right?
So
here's interesting. So anyway,
so what you got? You told
I
me
got a lot of
thing that you did not prepare me for.
I'm gonna say that for because that's gonna open up. That's gonna open up some stuff. So I'm gonna say that because I was J. I pulled a J on this one.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what that means.
This is good. But before we get to that, got a couple of things we want to just kind of shoot up and talk about briefly as we tend to do. But let's start with this week. Uh, one of the for me highly anticipated movie is dropping this weekend. Mission Impossible.
Oh no, for you and I both.
Right? Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1.
Part 1.
It's a 2-parter with what I like to say is the last true movie star. Really? In Hollywood. He is the last.
School, right? Of the vieja escuela.
Even of the new school. Like, this dude made $1 bajillion off of a movie that was 30 years old.
But I'm saying though, like
based on his name alone.
Dude, you wouldn't count Denzel a movie star?
He's a movie star, but he ain't up like this dude. This dude is
just by money.
Just by name. Like Denzel's a great actor. And he's been in some phenomenal movies, right? But I'm talking like that old school where it was like, yo, Schwarzenegger is dropping a movie. I'm gonna go see it. Like, you just went to go see it back in the 80s.
Said no one ever.
No, back in the 80s you did. Like, back in the 80s you did. Arnold dropped movies.
Yeah.
Back in the 80s, early part of the 90s, Arnold dropped the movie. You went to go see that movie. Sylvester Stallone.
I have never seen Schwarzenegger in the movies.
Sylvester Stallone would drop a movie. You go see that movie. Just because you didn't do it doesn't mean.
No.
Obviously, people did, right? Because
I'm just dropping the J fact.
No one cares about J facts.
I've never seen.
Just because you're 50 now doesn't mean you're like some kind of elder statesman.
Just because I'm 50 now, everybody cares about J facts because now I am the elder statesman speaking.
It's called the class. You're like on the classic rock station now, Jay. Just remember that.
Remember, it all goes back. It all goes back.
But that's what I'm saying. So like, Denzel's makes some great movies, but it's like, oh, Denzel's got a movie, but his movies aren't just blowing up out the gate. I mean, yeah, actors stumble, and like Cruise had a bit there where he kind of had a lull, right? We get it, but that happens. But I'm just saying in the sense that, oh, Tom Cruise is coming out with a movie, and then you're like, ooh, I'm gonna go see it. 30-year-old, he drops a 30-year-old movie that no one really cared about except old people and Gen Xers who are old enough.
Now, what movie?
Top Gun.
Oh, I didn't care about that movie.
But that movie was bomb. That's what I'm saying.
No, but it was great. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
Like,
that's what I'm saying. In all our conversations about movies, it was like, oh, Top Gun. Yeah, that was a good movie. But nobody was like, man, I can't wait for them to do a sequel. And he dropped one 30 years later, and it made $1 bajillion.
Yeah, that's word.
Right, so that's what I'm saying. Like this dude has been like the last several years has just been dropping, just like bam, bam, bam. And like so,
he's been surviving on the strength of his franchise.
He has, but he keeps
like,
up it, but he keeps up.
No, I'm not saying that as a bad thing. I'm just something I'm realizing. Like that's pretty dope that he built these franchises and he's been surviving on the
right. Supposedly he's making supposedly they might be making a sequel to the race car movie he made, which was a huge which was a huge hit for him. So that's what I'm saying. Like last kind of, now, I mean, like movie star, to me, like movie star, it doesn't have that same like pop that it did back when we were growing up.
Right. It doesn't have the same allure that it used to have.
Right. Because now it's just, I mean, really, they're all interchangeable, right? You find some actors that you kind of like, but you're not like, oh, I'm going to go see that dude's movie in the theater. You're kind of like, I think I'll wait. I can just wait till it comes out.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm going to do everything I can to go see this movie in the theater. Right. Whereas Denzel's doing Equalizer 3. I don't know that I'm going to do everything I can to go see Equalizer 3 in the movie theater.
I might go see Equalizer 3.
You know what I'm saying? But anyway, so we have so that's dropping. My Adventures of Superman dropped last Friday.
Yo, I've been meaning to ask you.
Dropped last Friday.
When are those dropping? Every Friday?
I think they come out on Friday and then HBO Max on Saturday. I think that's how it is. I think. Because I saw it on Saturday. Yeah. So I think they're.
Did I see it on Saturday? I think I don't even know. I just saw it showed up. No, I think no.
They might have dropped it. They might have dropped it at the same time.
Right.
But all right, here we go. The next one is on July 21st, which is this coming up Friday.
Just Friday.
Yep. So
what'd you think of them? You saw them both, right?
Yeah, I saw them both. Dude, I liked it. I like the vibe of it. Like the go-getter Lois, like doing everything for the story, even though she's just an intern.
It has such classic anime vibes.
Right. It does got.
It gives me like just the kind of
artwork, the animation,
the anime style. It's like old school, like Robotech, like back in the day. It looks like One Piece, right? Like it gives me nice classic anime vibes. But I also like, and I was talking to Anthony about this. I like the fact that in the anime, they had Lois be attracted to Clark and
right.
not just attracted to Superman. Every iteration of Superman and Lois Lane, she tolerates Clark as the dummy that she works with, right? Like the clumsy, awkward guy that she works with, but she falls in love with Superman. Right. And then it's like, oh, I am Superman. Oh, I've been in love with you all along. No, you haven't, right?
Jay just mushed his own face.
Right? That's what Superman should have done. Like Clark should have been like, no, you haven't.
Nah, if he mush faces her, he kills her. She shoots off, splatters against the wall.
Right, but it's like, oh, I've been in love with you. I've been in love with you like all along. No, like, let's be real. You haven't. You've been in love with the persona. But I like that here. They have like an attraction between and this awkwardness between Clark and Lois Lane. Like it's
Lois Lane. Yep.
It's been dope. I have a question.
What's that?
I have a question.
What's that?
I have a question.
Ask your question.
Do you think
no
they're gonna make Jimmy? They're gonna give Jimmy a rainbow?
No. I mean, they already made him black, so you can't be making
him black though.
He look black to me.
Is he black? Like I'm looking at him, I'm not sure if he's black, Spanish, or Indian.
So he's either black or Dominican. Same thing.
I'm like, yo, like, is he black? Is he Latino or is he Indian? Like, well, I guess we'll find out, or we'll never find out. Like, it won't matter.
Yeah. But no, man, it was good. I enjoyed it. I like the take. It's like early Superman, but they didn't. I thought it was hilarious when he got his suit, and his mom was like, "He needs something, a belt, and some shorts."
And some shorts. What I found funny, I don't know. You know that in my house we watch everything with subtitles, right? Because the kids are learning to read and. Like
you can't hear that well because you're 50 now. Yeah, I get it. I watch the subtitles too.
Yo, so it was fun. I gotta watch it with the iPad so I can take a screenshot. But when they show Clark like the ship, right, and the hologram of Jor-El shows up and he starts speaking Kryptonian, and the subtitles it says. Speaking Kryptonese. I was like, what that?
Kryptonese noise. I will say this.
Like takeout.
It did bother me I don't know why. Maybe it's just because we've seen so much stuff that now we tend to kind of go like, wait a minute. Like, so there's this huge metal hole in the middle of their field.
The big old metal plate in the corner.
And then when he hits the things shoot up and it's like they gotta be what, like 20 feet tall or whatever. Ain't somebody else on it.
No, it's not even that. Like when I saw that, I was thinking, it's like, Dad, that's a big crop circle. How they hide that junk?
Right.
And how do they keep hiding it?
Right, because stuff flying, planes flying over it, nobody sees it. This huge crash that happened 20 years earlier.
20 years
and
ago.
like no blip on the military radar stuff. No, like the movie, right? The original Superman movie, right? It was like a little ship and it crashed. But apparently in this one, it was like a massive ship that
every iteration is a small ship, right? It's a small ship, and originally Superman, the Kents took him to a children's home, right?
Right.
Took him to a children's home and then came back and adopted him like legally, right? And that's not here nor there. That's just me being nerdy. But the deal is that it's always been like a small ship that they hide away, right? And has some kind of cloaking or whatever it is, right? But it was easy for them to maneuver and hide because it just took the baby, right? Because that's the point, right? That's the point. It was a prototype of what Jor-El wanted to build for himself, Lara, and the baby, and Cal. But the end of Krypton came sooner, so there was only room for the baby. That looked like there was enough room for the entire freaking city.
Yeah, it was like Jor-El. Did you?
Like, dude, like you missed. Like you only put.
But even though when they sent,
you could have put everybody there.
When you see them send them off, right? When they do the little like flashback, and it was a small ship, but the thing grew while it was in space, I guess.
It also grew under the light of the yellow sun.
Light of the yellow sun. But so far, first 2 episodes, I thought was really good. I like that. It was funny how seeing him like power up, so I guess he's still like hasn't unlocked like the full potential of his powers.
You can see how awkward he is with using his powers and not knowing, right? Like I love that. I saw a lot on the internet talking about how, I hate how weak they made him. And it's like, no, they didn't make him weak, man. He's still trying to figure things out. And it's so funny to me that would be the statement when the whole intro to episode 1 shows him trying to figure out how to be human and, use his powers. Like he breaks the door. He goes, he saves the cat. Like all these things that happen. Right? So it's whatever. I love it.
Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. I can't wait. Can't wait to see more. Can't wait for it to come out. And yeah, and it's and it's great too because it's 20 minutes, 25 minutes. So it's just normal length.
Like it's just a normal serial.
So so we got that. That's good. Sound of Freedom dropped last week, I think it was.
Have you watched it?
I have not watched it yet. I think we're gonna try to go watch it tomorrow, and by we I mean me, Jenny, and Mia. We're all gonna go together. I was looking, so it's sitting on a 77% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's interesting.
Which is interesting. 31 reviews. It's got 100% from the fans, the audience score, with 5,000 plus.
With all the conspiracy theories that is being accused of.
Well,
77%.
See, yeah. So so if you look, only of the top critics, there's only 4 top critics that have reviewed it, and only one of them gave it a tomato. The other 3, you know, splats or whatever, but all critics combined of the 31, it is 77. So, which is funny because really a lot of the critics, like a lot of the top critics, right, are really the ones that are giving it the rotten scores. But what's even been more interesting has just been kind of the media response to this movie, right? Trying to link it to the whole QAnon stuff that was big, you know, a few years ago, which is funny because this movie was finished in 2018. So it actually been sitting for 5 years in Disney's vault, right?
It was going to come out through Fox, right?
Produced whatever Fox, Disney bought it. What's interesting is I just sat in Disney's vault. Angel Studios did a crowdfunding to be able to buy it so that they could release it. So what's interesting is a lot of the connections, these negative connections they're trying to make was like, wait a minute, this movie was like 5 years ago, right? And you're saying now, and it's funny how it's not about. It's like, dude, they're talking about this movie's about children that are being trafficked, kidnapped, sometimes sold by their own parents. And so one of the criticisms is the fact that the guy, the original guy who's this kind of based on, you know, they try to link him to, you know, some of those crazy conspiracies about, you know, like the liberals, you know, drinking the blood of babies and all that kind of weird, goofy stuff. But he did an interview with Jordan Peterson, which is funny because I saw this on Ruslan. Ruslan did a video of this, and then he's talking to Jordan Peterson, and he's like, yeah, he goes, I think maybe because I've spoken about how in Africa, people will sell their children to like witch doctors.
Yes.
Who will sacrifice the kids, and so then they'll take they'll drink the blood, and they'll give like the organs to the people to put on their doors to bring good luck or to bring.
Right. That I have heard of.
Right. So it's like they're conflating maybe that with whatever all this weirdo conspiracy stuff.
So
right?
The weirdo conspiracy is that celebrities in Hollywood buy these kids, and there's this whole big witchcraft thing.
Not just
where they drink.
Politicians, right? Politicians and celebrities.
Right, politicians, anybody in power, like the big people in power.
Right.
Politicians and celebrities, because I saw one, and it's so funny. I saw one where they accused, oh my gosh, I don't want to say names because I don't want to die.
They accused somebody, we shall remain nameless.
The wife of a former president,
Right.
of drinking some while in Colombia. Oh, what is she drinking? And it's like, yo, it's a beer. That's called a beer. Right? That's called it's called a beer.
So it's all that weird conspiracy, like, you know, we're not ones to shy away from a good conspiracy.
Right.
But these are just not good
conspiracies. This is not a good conspiracy.
Just
but the fact that I didn't know that the movie was made in 2018. But the fact that it's made in 2018 and they're still trying to connect it to QAnon is kind of wild to me.
Right.
I'm wondering now why.
Right. And then
conspiracy, right? Like why are they pushing so hard when this is a movie about such a sensitive issue that everybody knows? I don't care what side of the political side spectrum you fall on. Everybody knows that this junk is real. Why? Like why are they doing it?
I think because it's not the right messenger, according to them.
Who, Caviezel?
Correct. You know, Caviezel is a staunch, right, Catholic. He's a unlike our president, he's an actual practicing Catholic.
The practicing Catholic.
Right. I think, because he leans more conservative. Right. So I think that's kind of the, so you got to take whatever the guy the movie's based on and him. They've said stuff, and we know that children are trafficked, but this is just a movie to get people to think that they're gung ho and all this. And it's just so weird. It's so weird, right? Because Mel Gibson is working on a documentary on this, on trafficked children.
That's it. Nobody's gonna believe that children are trafficked.
Right. So it's, I think that's what it is. If it was, I don't know, Sean Penn.
Tom Cruise.
No. If it was Sean Penn, Tom Cruise wouldn't make a movie like this, but Sean Penn would.
Scientology won't let him.
Right. Sean Penn would. If Sean Penn made this movie, if it was Sean Penn instead of Caviezel, then it'd be like, oh man, the acting was so brave, bringing this to the forefront of the peoples, and blah, 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 blah. So I think that's what it is. So we're gonna put our dollars on it. I think Jay say they were gonna try to go watch it when they're up here in Atlanta this week. So yeah, so support the movie. We always talk about movies. This is being put out by I guess a Christian studio, right? The people that.
Yes, it is. So
the people that put out Chosen are the same people that put in this movie out.
No, it's not the same people that put out Chosen. I personally know a lot of the people involved. So it's the studio, like Angel Studios. I think the rights.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's Angel Studio.
Okay,
the people that put out Chosen are the people that put in this movie out.
Okay, I misunderstood that. So I know the people involved in this movie, and I guess that makes sense that it's been held, because I remember when all the stuff was being done for the movie, but then I just thought that it was just sitting there for whatever reason. Anyway, it's crazy. All of it is crazy.
Yes.
But yes, we will see it when we're up in Georgia. We're gonna check that out.
And Mira Sorvino's in this movie, and apparently she is a believer.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Jess, my friend, Jess. I tell you. Jess, but I don't say it in jest.
Her father told me to F off and threatened to punch me in my face.
Well, that's her father.
No, I'm just saying it was dude, I was like, yo, I got threatened by Paul Sorvino. By Paul Sorvino. That was dope.
So yeah, anyways, we got that. What else?
We've got a second trailer for the Blue Beetle.
Got a second trailer for the Brew Bureau.
So as you can see,
Jay is excited.
Well,
Jay's life is going to be complete because he's going to see a Latino on the movie screen. So now he'll know what to do with his life. He'll feel complete. He'll feel complete.
Bean is super excited to see the Blue Beetle. Right? He loves, for whatever reason, he loves the Blue Beetle. I think he likes the Blue Beetle because he's more of a kid. Right? Like he sees,
right.
He watches, we watch on Batman Brave and the Bold. Mm-hmm. Right? They have the Blue Beetle on there a lot, and he's a kid. So Bean loves the Blue Beetle. So I'm wearing this shirt because we were at Walmart, and he saw the shirt, but for kids. Right? He's like, oh, I want. All right, here you go, toma, like take it, like it's awesome. I know you love the Blue Beetle. Go ahead, get it. It was like $5. Like, get me importa. And then as we were walking through it, he saw the same one for me. He's like, Papi, you gotta get it. You gotta get it so we can match. I was like,
And then you mush faced him and said, I'm not a dork.
And I mush face him. That's Superman, not Blue Beetle.
Superman. I'm not a dork. I'm not even wearing the same shirt as you.
But you know, of course, I bought it, so we both wore it today, which is why I'm wearing it.
Oh, how cute!
Very cute. So we both wore it today. But he's excited. He's excited. He has not seen the new trailer yet because I have to watch these things first. Because, like any other 8-year-old boy, he likes to copy what he sees on TV.
Right.
Except that he doesn't have another brother. He has a younger sister. Yeah. So, correct. But yeah, I'll let him watch it with me. The trailer, not the movie. The trailer. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited because, okay, I'm excited the truth about why I'm excited about Blue Beetle. I'm excited about the Blue Beetle because it's another relatively unknown superhero getting a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You got and with the successes of Guardians, Iron Man, Peacemaker, right? The Suicide Squad, that the bulk of the Suicide Squad were a bunch of unknowns, right? I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see how this movie does, especially now that they're gonna keep it in the DCU. They keep Blue Beetle in the DCU, right? James Gunn adopted the Blue Beetle.
Yeah. Yep.
James Gunn's adopted son. So I'm excited, which is funny to me, right? Because right, James Gunn keeps saying that, oh yeah, the new DCU starts with Superman. Right? But it's like, oh, but the Blue Beetle is definitely in the DCU, in the new DCU. Well, the Blue Beetle drops next month.
Right.
So does the new DCU start with Superman in 2 years, or does it start with the Blue Beetle? And then after the Blue Beetle, we have Creature Commandos, right? But you keep saying that it starts with Superman Legacy, so.
But I think it's just like they're like, you know, was it like you know how the comic books will have your main storyline, but then they'll throw in some tie-ins. Right.
You throw in whatchamacallit, sorry for the yawn. You throw in like the prequels. Right? The prequel comics. So these are the prequel comics for the main story.
So it's just kind of like, yeah, this stuff is happening, but this is where we, you know.
These things are leading up to this thing. Right? And this thing is Superman Legacy. And between yesterday and today, we have learned that James Gunn cast
like 20
also relatively unknown, right? With the exception of one, relatively unknown superheroes that will be, and we learned today that they will all be in the Superman Legacy movie.
Yeah. Right?
Something that you and I talked about when yesterday's news was dropped, right? Like we didn't know, what's is this for Superman, or is this he's just like letting people know the heroes that he's going to be introducing in his entire 10-year plan? But no, apparently these are heroes that will be in Superman Legacy, with the exception of Blue Beetle, maybe.
Blue Beetle.
Who knows?
Yeah, so we got Hawk Girl, Mr. Terrific, Guy Gardner, Metamorpho. So it'll be interesting. I feel like with like we talked about earlier, I think we're gonna see where it's either you kind of catch him early in the movie as it leapfrogs into his kind of story, or maybe it's you catch him at the end to kind of tie, right? This is the legacy, so right. It's like, because it's legacy is the word that's kind of right? Because when you think legacy, you think of you're looking back, like you're looking to what has led you to where you are. So to me, it makes sense that you do the Superman movie and you have these heroes they're in that universe, but then you end it with him kind of right. He's connecting his past to his present, right? His legacy is this team of these heroes that have arisen, right? Or maybe had always been, who knows? But he brought them together.
Maybe they've always been, and because of who and how he is, they do things differently because they want to follow his example, right? But I think I love the fact that, and I think we spoke about this in one of the recent episodes, how James Gunn is stuck on, like he loves what DC in particular does with secret identities, right? And the parallels of secret identities and then the costume, right? And I love what he says here in response to somebody saying, hey, well, I thought this was a movie about Superman, right? And he says it, like he says, Superman is a man of two worlds, Clark with Lois, Jimmy, and Perry, and Superman with his metahuman compatriots, right? How could I tell a full story about Clark, Superman, without including all the areas of his life? And you and I, if anybody listens to our podcast throughout the years, you and I, we always talked about how you have these movies about these heroes in these cities with other heroes, but there's never any even mention of them. We're not talking about them showing up, right? We're not just about them showing up, but not even a mention of them. And I think that's something that that the Flash touched on, right? So that when Alfred called Barry saying, "Oh, we need help," right? It was like, well, what about Wonder Woman? What about Superman? Right? Then you saw Superman on the TV screen, stopping a volcano. Oh, well, Wonder Woman is out here doing something else. This guy's doing something else, right? Like, it's one of those things that you have to be aware. And you and I, we talked about this. Like, they need to create a movie where there's an awareness and a knowledge of all these other heroes in other places because it's a shared world. Like, it's a shared world. So I think this is depending on how James Gunn does it, I think this is a great move. And again, I mean, I don't care. Like, call me what you want, but I'm excited to see what James Gunn is gonna do. Right? Like the Snyder, the time of a Snyder is over. It finished with the Flash. Right? It finished with the Flash. That's it. The Snyder universe has shut down with the Flash. Right? Run, Barry. Run.
Right, to be somebody else.
For you.
But yeah, so I don't know. We'll see. That's what's up. That's what we got coming up. So this week, I think it was Sunday, you went to go be in a music video. Is that right?
Yes.
Are we gonna see you in the music video, or are you gonna be on the cutting room floor?
Well, see, what had happened was, so Kardec does a lot of KB. So I was in a music video in a video shoot KB's new music video. So KB, if you don't know, KB is a local.
Right.
Local. I think he's from St. Pete, but he's now in Tampa. But his boy Amin, the other guy on Southside Rabbi, their podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Amin is one of our neighbors. I think he lives like 2 streets down.
Oh wow!
Right, so like we bumped into each other at Publix and hit it off. Like we talk all the time, right? So he's like, he's like 2 streets down. So Kardec, I've known Kardec for a couple years now, and Kardec lives in another city, North Florida, but he was going to be in Tampa for this video shoot with KB, and so he invited me, right? Because he went from being 2.5 hours away to being 35 minutes away. So he invited me, gave me a time, whatever, and I show up, and it's a dope song, and it's a song with KB and Nico Emme, produced by. Wow. And I have to say this, and I mean, you know the weight of it when I say it. Like, Kardec is a freaking genius when it comes to doing, when it comes to creating sounds and music around our culture, right? When I say our culture, I mean Spanish culture, Caribbean, Puerto Rican culture, right? So he's like super Puerto Rican, but he does a lot, and he has done a lot to update the sound of reggaeton, and and all that. So he took, remember that song, Fred Hammond, the Spirit of the Lord, when the Spirit of the Lord moves upon my, like that.
Yeah.
So he took that, but the Spanish, si el Espíritu de Dios, right? But gave it this Latin reggaeton fusion, like the dembo is deep and real, right? And he created this whole new sound with that song, with KB, with that song as the bass, but with KB and Nico M, rapping over it. And it's freaking amazing. It's so freaking dope. But anyway, so he invited me to the video.
Has the song dropped?
No, it hasn't dropped. This is gonna be off of KB's new album that I think drops next month. But so when he invited me, I thought it was just to hang out, right? Yeah, music video and nah. But I thought I was just gonna be there, hang out with Kardec and whoever else was gonna be there that I may or may not know. I was assuming that Tommy Royale was gonna be there, and he was, as you saw in the picture that I sent you, right? Mm-hmm. But to me, I was just gonna hang out. Right? I wasn't gonna be in no music video. I wasn't gonna do anything. I was just gonna go, hang out, talk to a few people, just chill, just be there, see the video shoot, right? Watch the video shoot, and then maybe go get something to eat with Kardec afterwards and finish hanging out and say goodnight. But Amin was there, of course, because Amin and Kardec and KB are best friends. So I started talking to Amin and this other guy that works, he's also an artist, but he also works with them at the clothing line. This guy, Mark, another Boricua, and Bite. So they're like, all right, we're ready to shoot this scene, right? And I'm like, all right, bet. Like, peace out. I'll be right here, right? And Amin is like, what you mean you be right here? Yo, let's go. You came here for the video, right? I said, no, but I came here to hang. I came here to just, just to chill and just whatever. Like, I'm not gonna be the old guy in the music video.
Right.
And he was like, yes, you are. Let's go. So I'm in the video. And you can't edit me out because the picture that I sent you is what's in front of the camera.
Gotcha. And they got software. They can.
Yeah, software they can. Not with all the movement and dancing that
they'll be like, hey, listen, man, they replaced
they'll put somebody else's face over mine.
Yeah, they replaced what's that actor? Kevin Spacey. They replaced Kevin Spacey in the whole movie and replaced him with a whole new actor. So
that's what I'm saying. They'll put somebody's face over mine.
They'll just digitally add.
They'll do a deep fake. Somebody else's face over mine. Like all those Superman videos that we're seeing with the new actor.
Yeah.
He's never been Superman before. When you see all these videos of him in the suit doing all these things.
They just look weird. All right, so you're gonna be in a music video that's dropping sometime in the next couple of months.
In a KB music video.
That's it.
Yeah, it was cool. I was able to hang out with them and just talk and just chill. And it was
that's dope.
It was dope. Right? Also, and you're gonna hear it here first, we talked about them handling legacy merch.
Okay.
Right? So being the fulfillment place to print and ship our stuff, our fundraising stuff. So Yay! If anything,
Okay.
if nothing else, I need that. So that's dope.
Yeah, that's what's up. Use their sweatshop children. You don't have to find your own.
Exactly. that way the sin falls on them.
Yeah, not on me.
When it comes to me, what the enemy used for evil, God used for good.
God used for good. That's terrible. That's terrible.
Yeah, but it was fun, man. It was fun. I sent you a picture. Yo, on that. I showed what you said about the picture.
What did I say about the picture?
You said that everybody in the picture was somebody else.
Is that what I said?
Was that you or was that Joel?
That might have been Joel.
You was like, oh, look, all I see are a bunch of thugs.
Yeah, that might have been me. No, Joel said I see a bunch of thugs. I said something completely different.
Yeah, you said, somebody said.
Yeah, Joel said, I see a bunch of thugs.
Hold on. You compared him to somebody else. That was Joel. Look.
That was Joel, yeah. Mark Anthony, Andre Ward.
Thug Life. Andre Ward, whatever. I showed them that. They were dying.
Bad buddy. That's great.
I showed them that they were. It was so funny. I was like, should I show them? Yeah, I'm gonna show them.
I'm gonna show them. Make
Yeah,
sure.
I'm gonna show them.
So if I were me, I'd be like, that wasn't me. That wasn't me.
But it wasn't you. But anyway, yeah, what you got?
So I had an interesting conversation the other day. I thought, man, I gotta talk to Jay about this because it seems to be like such a cliche.
Oh.
Like I had a cliche conversation.
Oh no, I hate it when you say cliche conversations.
But I thought it was interesting because I thought, I knew you. This is just a great reminder to all of us. So I was meeting with somebody from our small group, and we're having this conversation, and so they're like, "Hey, Joaquin, I want to ask you a question, So you enjoy?" He goes, so this group they'll do like small group, which we go to on Tuesdays, right? They're out of the big church, 12 Stone, so service, but then they do what they call it home church. Right? They do.
Everybody's calling it home church now. That's good.
No, but it's not. But it's different. See, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to lead you to. So you got big church. Now we meet in small groups, right? 12 Stone, small groups. But on Sunday, there's a group of them. They get together and they call it home church.
Okay.
Right. So one day I was like, sometimes you because like you hear what they do in home church, and then you're kind of like, well, how? So I was like, what do you got? Like, why do you call it home church? Like, what is like is it part of 12 Stones? Is it that you guys are doing your own thing? It's like what? Because I think home church, basically like somebody's bringing a message or some kind of study, some kind of something. And it was like, oh no, we all get together and we have lunch, and then afterwards we meet, and people will give testimony and people will share whatever God has taught them that week. And I'm like, oh, so it's like a small group, you just call it home church, right? And it's like, that's not a bad way of looking at it. I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, oh, you should come. And I'm like, nah, I'm good, right? Because I'm like, I come on Tuesdays, I do service on Sunday. I'm not going to go back. Service ends at 12:30, 1 o'clock, to go sit at 1:30, have lunch with a bunch of people, and just basically do small group again. Right?
You spend more time with other believers, talk about Jesus.
I got better things to do. And you say that, right? So Jay just said that, but he wouldn't do it either. Let's not miss it. Let's not miss Mr. Holier than thou. Not because he's 50. He thinks he can just say whatever he wants.
Oh, but I 100% can, because I made it to 50.
Because I made it to 50. I'll remember that. When I turn 50.
You got 2 years.
You'll be like, shut up. You're not allowed to talk.
Got 2 years. But even when you turn 50, I'm going to still tell you, shut up, youngin.
Shut up, youngin. So I meet with this dude on Monday, right? So we're talking about, he goes, hey, what do you think about church? And I'm like, oh man, I think it's great. I like what 12 Stone, from everything I've seen, I like the things that they're doing. It looks like, they do try to find ways to serve the community, right? Remember last year I said Christmas time they raised like just over $1 million to give, just straight out to give, right? 100% to give. And so he was like, well, the church, so the premise was, well, the church, we should be like feeding the poor and taking care of the widows, right? Right. So I'm like, yeah, I said, it seems to me like 12 Stone does, they're doing their part to do that. And he goes, well, but like the church in Acts and the New Testament, when it was, they were selling their things and taking care of each other. And I'm like, yeah, that's good. And then he, was like, well, but Constantine, when he became a Christian, he tried to force everyone to the kind of the Catholic Church and to meet in the bigger things. And that's when I said, look, I don't care what Constantine did or did not do. I was like, I enjoy it. He goes, so then he was like, oh, well, I want to challenge you, why not, still do 12 Stone, but come join us on Sunday. Then you can come with Mia and Jenny and whatever. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. Right. Because I was like, Sunday afternoons is because of the way my work schedule has been, Sunday afternoons is where I spend time with Mia and Jenny. We go out to lunch, we go to the mall, whatever it is, right? We spend time together. I said, and I'm not interested in going to another Bible study. Because what you're telling me you guys do is just a Bible study, right? And he was like, he kind of looked at me, he was like, well, yeah.
Does he lead it?
No, he doesn't lead it.
Okay.
Right? But I was just like, it's just another Bible study. He goes, yeah, but we need to feed the poor, and I was just like, okay. I said, I hear what you're saying. I said, but let me ask you this.
No, here it comes.
I said, let me ask you this.
Talking to.
What was that?
He had no idea who he was talking to.
No, he has no idea the can of worms he just unleashed on himself. I was like, bro, I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna tell you a story. I said, I knew a guy. One time talking to him was like, hey, how come you're not going to church? Oh, because the church, I visited the church, but they weren't doing anything. They weren't feeding the hungry, right? They weren't feeding the poor. They weren't doing all that. I'm like, and I told him, I said, okay, but are you doing that? And so I was like, bro, what you're talking about is stuff I talked about in college. We're talking about this stuff. Right. But I was like, are you feeding? Are you involved in feeding the poor and feeding the hungry? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Are you doing? Why do you need to go to this group to do that? Dude, this led to a 2-hour conversation. Right? Almost 2.5 hours of me trying to I feel like I was breaking this dude down. Right now, this dude's older than me. He's gonna be 50 this year. So I'm going after my elders this week. I'm just I'm just, coming after you guys. But what I thought was funny is that, because I told him, I was like, because then I was like, look, because this was the thing, I was like, why are you asking me? I was like, if you think this small group thing is where God is leading you, then you don't need to ask me to come with you. you guys start your group.
Right.
Right? You go to the church, you say, look, we're resigning all our positions. We're gonna go start this thing. I said, what you're doing? I said, that's a Spanish church thing. I was like, and he kind of looked at me, and I was like, yeah. I said, because I've been involved in a couple of church splits. I was like, but Spanish churches are notorious for the one guy gets mad at the pastor and he leaves to start his own church, right? But he doesn't just start a church, he brings half the congregation with him. And then they're like, yeah, we're doing it the right way. But the whole thing started off of what? Out of pride, jealousy, anger, whatever all those. Pride is usually number one, right?
Pride is usually number one.
Right. But I mean, I said that because I knew that that was wild enough for me. Because I mean, I've seen it in American churches. I've been a part of it in American church. So it's not that it doesn't happen in all other churches. I think Spanish churches is a little more dramatic sometimes. Because of our culture, like who we are as a culture. And he was like, whoa. And I was just like, and I was like, have you ever shared this with our group?
So he's a part of your Tuesday group?
He teaches our Tuesday group. Right? But he has a desire, and I get it, because he's like, I'm about to turn 50, and as I kind of reevaluate and think on some things and where I want to be and where I want to go. And as a believer, he really wants to be serving, right?
Right.
But what is he doing? He's doing what a lot of people tend to do. We don't look at how we can move in our current space, but we look at what that other thing is, right? That other space over there.
I think that perhaps, and I don't know if this is the case with him because I don't know him.
Right.
I think that perhaps we get lost. I think this is the thing mostly with men, right? We get lost in a desire to hold significance in life, right? And so we feel unsatisfied with doing anything where we are because we don't see the significance of what we're doing, right? Because we feel that it's just not enough.
Right.
It's just not enough. We don't see ourselves as an integral part of everything that moves the kingdom. We're just focused on the one thing that we're doing, looking at what other people are doing, or even looking at, what we felt or we thought we were going to be doing at this time in my life, at this age, right? And so we battle with insignificance, right? We battle with insignificance where that's not, right? That's not the Lord calls no one to insignificance. But even with that, and I say this now as a guy who is called to do a young man's job.
Yeah, well, see, I say that, I would say both, right? God doesn't call anyone to insignificance. I don't think necessarily God calls you to be significant.
No. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about like the struggle that men have with significance, right? So, right, me planting a church now at 50 is a young man's job.
Right. But there is biblical precedence. So you're in good company.
No, 100% there is. And I hate that there is sometimes.
And they look at you as a young man. So you could, son.
Right? But the deal is that, like, if I wasn't called to do this, and you know this, we've talked about this. If I wasn't called to do this, I would not be doing it.
Right. And I brought you up.
I would not be doing it. I was fine going to work, coming home, serving at church, and evangelizing, going out to speak, or just evangelizing to the server at whatever restaurant we went to eat, right? Still doing the work of the kingdom while not trying to be like, not everybody's a general. Some people are just, foot soldiers, boots on the ground, right? Not everybody, I think everybody wants to be generals.
So I don't think his thing was more being general. I think his thing, because his thing was, once again, it goes back to, well, I don't see the church doing this, right? I don't see the church where I'm at doing this. So I'm gonna go over here, and then that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna be
Isn't 12 Stone like huge?
Yes, but it doesn't matter. That's the point. It's because it's big, right? It's because it's big. I think that it's easy to go, well, I don't see this XYZ being done, so it must not be being done. Because I had to check them. I was like, well, didn't they just the other day put something where like there was like a ministry that they gave money to, that is a food pantry to help make sure people have food.
Right.
To help people if they're down on their bills. And he was like, yeah. I was like, so how come you're not doing that? Right? How come you're not doing that? Instead of going, oh, I'm going to go to this thing. I said, look, if that's what God's called you to do, right, to start this quote unquote home church. And I said, and that's fine. Francis Chan did that, right? He went from mega church pastor to then dropping down for several years. And then a few years later, they start this kind of home church group thing. And he was like, yeah, I see, that's the thing. We're all connected. I say, so yeah, but God called him to that.
Right.
Right. I was like, my boy Jay, who's out in Florida, right? He had somebody that he knew out of left field, not knowing what his struggle was, at a Christafari concert, say, hey, guys, feel like God's telling me to tell you this, and this. And Jay is like, what? Like, because you're not supposed to know that information. You shouldn't know that information, right? Because
that's business.
It's none of your business, and we're like 2 states away, right? So it's not like, oh well, I heard from a friend that had said this, kind of thing. Because I told him, I was like, look, man, I said, if you think that's what God wants you to do, I said, then you need that. Then he said, you need to do like Gideon and get confirmation twice. I said, but it can't be from any of the people in the group, and it can't be from your wife. It's got to be from outside, people that you would be like, how would they even know?
How would they even know if not?
Right? If not from God. I was like, because his wife is super sweet, right? And she would be all in, right? She'd be like, what? Oh, anything for the Lord, it's like, that's like a false prophet, right? In your own house. right? Because she gonna agree with you. But it was interesting because, and I think that's what it is. I think you nailed it, right? Because it resonated with me, right? Because it's like, because I told him, I was like, look, have you ever said to the group, hey guys, like, this is my heart, right? Because when I first started going, he asked me like, oh, you think about the group? I said, it's not about what I think about the group. I was like, what's your heart? What's your mission for the group? What is it you want the group to? How is it that you would like to see the group grow, or the group, the group, And he was like, oh, I was like, have you, So he was like, well, yeah, I'm like, if you want to feed the poor, if you want to be involved in those kind of ministries, have you ever brought it to the group? How do you know the group? There are people in the group that'll be like, oh, that sounds like great. Yeah, we could do one Saturday a month. We'll all get together to go help this ministry.
Yeah.
And then from there, and then you're doing what you feel the church should be doing. I even brought in Brooklyn Tabernacle, right? Fresh wind, fresh fire. I was like, when the pastor said, in the book, he talks about people would come up with ideas. I think the church should do this. And he would say, do it.
Do it. Let's go.
Right? And I said, most time that's as far as it get. And he looked at me like, well, why? I said, because if you say that God's put this in your heart, then you need to do it, not go somewhere else. Because then you're still not going to do it somewhere else, right? It's just going to become.
Why not?
Or do something else,
and
right?
And then that's that other thing. It seems like you're right. It seems like a secret recruiting of people and things, right? Instead of going to leadership, going to the pastor or a pastor, at that church and telling them, right, to get help, to get covered, and to get support, right? Like if that's your church, then take the steps, right? There's no reason to do things in secret. Ugh.
Right. And I don't think he meant it to do it that way. He didn't even realize it. Because
I'm pretty sure that he did it. He just, again, didn't know who he was talking to.
Right. He just messed up. Yeah, you messed up, son. You messed up. Oh, now you're in my wheelhouse.
He didn't know who he was talking to.
Because I told him, I was like, look, man, if that's what you got, I mentioned a couple of names, and he didn't deny the names, right? I said, if that's what you guys want to do, then you resign your positions as group leaders and stuff, and you go do it. But then you go do it. Don't bring other people with you from the church, something like that, because what ends up happening if you try to come back, something happens and you try to come back, and then you try to go like, oh, I want to lead a group. They're gonna be like, no, we remember what you did, and they're not gonna let you come back and do any kind of ministry in that sense. I mean, I told him some stuff, and it kind of, I'm hoping that his eyes kind of clicked open. But I was thinking, it's like, wow, like, I think you were right, because it seemed like the genesis of a lot of it was, I'm about to turn 50. He turns 50 this year. And so he's reevaluating some of reevaluating his life, right?
Right.
Because I had to break out the your main ministry is who? Is your family.
Is your family.
Right. It ain't
house.
It ain't all these other, So I just thought it was a funny conversation, A, to have. B, yeah, he didn't know the hornet's nest he kicked over. Because dude, I was Jay. I was like Jay. I was like, that's BS, man. He was sometimes I look at him and I'm like, that's BS. This is straight up BS.
Those are the moments when you're supposed to be like Jay.
Right? I was just like, come on, man. I was like, come on, man.
Come on, son. Come on,
son. But I just thought it was interesting because it was such an out of nowhere conversation. I just thought that they met on Sundays just because they all know each other, so they just kind of did it.
So I have a question.
What was that?
What if you know, and you probably don't, but what, if anything, is your church doing for men, especially older men?
So I know that all I know is that they do have some men's groups, as far as the Sunday school groups. What are they called again? The small groups. They have some men's groups. One of the things they were talking about this group, because apparently this group started off as one, but it just kept growing. So they split them off, all with the church 100% behind it.
Yeah.
Sending them leaders and stuff.
I think a church of your size, well,
But I also know that
Go ahead.
I'll say the pastor who's about to step down, he's stepping down. Now him and his wife are going to take up a ministry for like 55 and older. So I don't know anything else about that. I know that they're going to start.
So this is my thing. I think that churches, especially big churches can create more opportunities for this. But I think that the church in general misses the opportunity to bring up like a ministry of fathers. Right? I think the church needs more like spiritual mothers and fathers. And I think that guy could probably take advantage of something like that if 12 Stone has it, right? Some kind of program or discipleship program where they equip these people who are in their twilight years, right? And feel that they can give more to the church, to the body, and to the kingdom.
And I think
I think that's something that maybe you can bring up to him, or you can bring up to somebody else that'll listen.
So
right?
I think that's the direction that the founding pastor is headed towards.
Okay.
If I've understood what he says, like once the transition is complete, right, and he's no longer the head pastor, him and his wife are starting something for 55 and olders. So I think that's in that realm, is like the empty nesters, like how to navigate that, how to move forward in that, how to minister in that, how to do all those things. I think that's kind of the direction, right, they're going. I know that with our groups, we're supposed to, I guess once the kind of the new small group year starts, so we're going to be our own little group. So the men in our group are going to meet together. The women are going to meet together, and that kind of thing. I mean, I'm still, hopefully for me, within the next couple of weeks, maybe the next 3 or 4 weeks, I'll be done working weekends completely. So then I'm going to start kind of trying to move towards doing the one, at least for now, maybe like one Saturday a month, men's hang.
Yeah.
Come. Just kind of keep it. The idea, like we talked about, I think it was last week.
That's good for connection, right? Connection, maybe accountability, depending on how deep you guys get. But I'm specifically talking about a program or some type of thing that teaches these men how to become spiritual fathers. Like, when you talk about,
I don't know.
Barnabas, Paul, to Timothy, and Titus, like all these things, right?
Yeah,
because
in all my life,
kids, there are a lot of young people in ministry that need a spiritual father, need a mentor, need somebody that they could connect with on a personal level to tell them, you know what, that's BS, right?
Right. I think, but I don't know that anybody does that.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's why I said that.
So I'm gonna tell you what I told him.
The church.
Do it. Well, then do it, Jay.
Oh no. I'm already having these conversations.
Don't have conversations
to try to flesh these out, because when we get there eventually, right? Because like we're still in the egg phase. We haven't even hatched. So but eventually when we get there, I would like to have something already like fleshed out to start, right? I know that personally, one-on-one, and because it's with you too, we do this with a lot of people. Like we do this personally with a lot of kids, right? Let's say like Michael V will hit me up. Jay, I need this. I need prayer for this. This is going on. Like, can you help me? What advice? Like things like that, one-on-one. But I think that, again, I think that the church misses out on those opportunities. So I'm trying to, I'm talking to a few people to see what.
Well, I remember back in the day, Promise Keepers was trying to.
But Promise Keepers was about men being good husbands and good fathers.
Right, but that you see, but all that to me, all of that is all part of the same thing, right? Because if you're growing as a believer, and you're being a good father, and then as you grow and as you talk to other men, then you take those leadership roles. You take, it's not like Paul was like, hey guys, I'm starting a class on how to be a spiritual dad or a mentor, and then Timothy came in and he's like, hi guy, I'm really interested.
It's like
I'm really interested.
What is it? It's like basically like a Christian,
big brother,
a big brother ministry, but right. to help pastors, to help evangelists, ministers, like other things like that, right? There has to be something. I think the church needs more mothers and fathers, is what I'm trying to say.
Nah, the church needs less mothers and needs more fathers. I'll step out on that limb. We need more fathers, because everything in church is geared towards the mother. I mean, I look at when I was going to the Spanish church, and I would say, how come we don't do anything for the men? And it was like everything was like, hey ladies, we're doing this tea thing. Hey ladies, we're doing this other thing. Hey ladies, we're doing this thing. And there was never anything for the men.
Yeah, that's
right?
true.
And that was at
Spanish men don't go to church.
was that?
Spanish men don't go to church, apparently.
Forget Spanish men, right? Just in general, right? I've seen it in other churches. That's why the Promise Keepers thing was huge, because it was the big conference, but then it was all about also having the Promise Keepers in the church, right? Like building it in the church. And that's kind of what you're talking about, really, because we don't need to teach men. I don't think we need to teach men to be spiritual fathers or spiritual mentors. We need to teach men to love God, to love their families, and in that, God raises up those that become. And so then you notice, you're like, I got my family, but hey, I noticed this kid. So you bring in. It's like I've been watching Doogie Howser, right, MD, and still I'm finishing it up. And like his buddy, like the Del Pino, right, always spent his time at the Housers.
Yeah.
So he had family in the Housers. Yeah, they would be irritated by him, right? But they always looked out for him at the end, right? It was always a thing where they spoke into his, like, hey, Vinny, your family's going through divorce. Like, you need to, how are you doing? How are you really doing? Like, speaking into that. So I think that's what it is, right? Paul didn't do a class and go, hey, no, Paul spent time with Timothy. And as he spent time with Timothy, he taught Timothy. And when Timothy said, I'm kind of fleshing this out in my brain. When Timothy was like, I feel called to do what you're doing, to do ministry, to be a minister, to be a missionary, to be a pastor, whatever it is, the language they use for that, right? Paul just poured more into him.
Right.
So I think it's not so much that we need a class, but we need more moments for men to build relationship, to get into those things, right?
To have that intentionality,
right? Because
there's an urgency for that.
Because look, we all know that a woman can go to another woman and kind of share and speak into her, and that woman will accept it 9 times out of 10, right? Because they're relational. But a dude's hanging out, and some dude comes to you and he's like, hey man, you really need to like get your stuff together with this, like, who are you to tell me what I need to do and not to do? Right? You don't take it. We're like, I don't know you. Why are you talking to me? But a man will take it. It's just somebody they've built a relationship with. And what do we know so far in today's society? Men have less friends now than they did like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Less connections now than did 20 years ago, right? 30 years ago, man might have had one good friend, but that one good friend could rip him a new one up and down, and he understood, right? So I think that's what it is. That's what I hope to try to steer towards is have that group where we can come, we can, be dudes. And then
iron sharpening iron. Act like men. Was that in 1 Corinthians?
Right.
Right.
Yeah. And be together, and just build and but try to build men, like we've talked about before, in more biblical sense than the red pill, Tate kind of sense.
Yeah.
Where it's all about, right? It's all about my gratification or me. I have to be like this.
Yeah. No. 100%. Something that we can unpack.
Yeah, but I think it's definitely something, especially with like, even like, I don't know if you saw we don't have to get into it too deep, but just as a brief, is like, I don't know if you saw like the Jonah Hill controversy, right? Where he was said, but in a nutshell, right? He was telling this girl he's dating, like, these are some boundaries, right? And
he's the villain for it.
And he's the villain for it. But it's kind of like, well, I was thinking, it was like, how many of us actually, like, would say, these are my boundaries. As a believer, these are my boundaries.
100%.
So
100%.
I don't know. We'll have to figure that out, I guess. So all that being said, Jay's 50. He needs boundaries now that he's 50. He needs bigger boundaries.
I need older boundaries.
Older boundaries. Because you can't pour new wine in old wineskins.
Old wineskins. Yeah, but anyway, that's the end. We're at the end, as you can tell. Yeah, I think this is I think this is a topic we need to come back to and dedicate some more time to.
Yeah, because I think it's something that's been popping up a lot in our conversations. I think we've been wrestling with some of these ideas. As guys that grew up in the church. So we've kind of seen it, different facets of it. So we'll see. At the end of the day, just remember this, whoever's listening, is what we always say, right? Read the word, pray the word, do the word. I haven't used that one in a long time.
Yeah, it's been a while.
But that's the mantra to an extent. Seek God, and the moment you feel yourself like thinking, oh, well, where I'm at, they don't do this or they don't do that. That if you feel that there's something that you should be doing or that the church should be doing, ask yourself, is this something the church should be doing or is this something that I feel God's telling me to do? And then act on that, not on putting it on the church, but putting it on yourself.
You see a need, fill it.
Because remember, you are the church. So if you're condemning the church, you're condemning yourself.
You see a need, fill it.
I'm out.
That's all you.
God calls you to St. Pete. Go to St. Pete.
Here he is.
And then you can and if you're watching the video, you can have a background like his, or you can have one like mine. Living in the
St. Pete Pier. All right, say goodnight.
Gotham here. All right, y'all, that's it. We're done for the night. We rambled, we talked, we laughed, we giggled. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here with us. We will see you next week. Don't forget to wish Jay a happy birthday, even if it is belated. Until next time, I'm Joaquin.
Thanks for listening. Remember to go to theoverflowpodcast.com to subscribe to the podcast on all streaming platforms and catch up on all the links of the week. And don't forget to follow our playlist on Spotify.